child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Stop by the brand new Midwest Bank this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for their grand opening. J&DP will be broadcasting on-site for Old School, and there will be tons of prizes available for anyone who stops by, as well as complimentary food and drinks. That's this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Let's just talk, because I like these projections. Left defensive end, Ty Robinson. Behind him, Chief Border. Nose tackle, Hush Monster, and then Van Poppel. Right defensive end, Jamari Butler, and then Cameron Linhart.
Yeah, you got to have them on the field at the same time. I mean, that's a train wreck right there. I mean, in the making it. Both of them in the near future is going to demand double team, so you might as well get them ready for it now. And that's just the best thing for this team right now, to have both of those up-and-coming stars on the field at the same time.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys want a happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert with you. Austin Orman alongside, as Rico is still out for this week. Hello, Austin.
Hey, Nick.
How's it going?
Great. Rico's out all week.
Or not all week, excuse me.
Just today, right?
Just today. Just out today.
I was going to say, we got a busy week. If Rico's gone all week.
Hey, we do. We do have a busy week. And it's all going to start. I mean, really, it's going to ramp up tomorrow night, as we'll have a district final matchup coming your way on the boys' side of things. A lot of high school activities going on this week, I should say. Boys district final, we'll have number 2 seed. We'll have the A6 district for you. Number 2 seed, Omaha Central Eagles, traveling to Lincoln to face off against the Lincoln Pius 10 Thunderbolts, who's the number 1 seed. That's going to be a really good one. Both those teams kind of dominated their competition in the semifinal, in the district semis, over the weekend. And so we'll punch a ticket to state there. There's a couple district final games tonight. And I know we wanted to, I mean, I'll just be transparent and open and honest with you guys. We wanted to have district finals and high school hoops all week, but in all honesty, is that we're kind of gearing up to do every single game at Pinnacle Bank Arena over the course of the next 2 weeks. And so I was looking at the schedule today. That's about 24 games each week at Pinnacle Bank Arena. So you're looking close to around that 45, 50 mark for games at Pinnacle Bank Arena that you'll be able to hear on the station. We start with a little Class D2 action on the girls' side of things this weekend. I think I actually know for a fact our first game on Wednesday at 9 a.m. is number 1 Overton against the 8 seed Paxton Tigers on the girls' side of things this week. So we'll have plenty of high school coverage coming your way Wednesday through Saturday. Not only this week for the girls' state tournament, but also the following week for the boys' state tournament. So we're just really gearing up for that. So if you're a fan, a parent, even a player are involved with a team that's going to be playing at Pinnacle Bank Arena, well, then you'll see myself, Jay Foreman, who knows, Austin might stop by. Various folks from the ticket will stop by, I'm sure, to catch some state tournament action. But we'll definitely have, like I said, every single game that's at Pinnacle Bank Arena that's played there, we will have on our station. And you can check that out in real time there if you're unable to make it down to Pinnacle Bank Arena, which I highly recommend, especially. And I know maybe the boys tournament's a little more popular. I don't think it necessarily should be. I look at it as you look at some of the talent that's in Class A, and we had a really, really exciting game on Friday night. Jay Foreman and I did with Lincoln Southeast and Pius X. Incredible game between the Knights and the Thunderbolts there. The Knights go on the road, and they're going to be making their first trip to the state tournament since 2013. Incredible job by head coach Isaiah Dell and the Knights there. Catrice Olds had a really strong game. Kaya Branch played well. Freudenberg even fouled out but made her mark. It was really, really fun. And it just kind of gets us ready to go for Wednesday morning. And like I said, we'll kind of be parked at Pinnacle Bank Arena. And I'll just say this now, I'll say it again later this week, but thank you in advance to Rico, to Austin, to Bach, to all the people that are going to be back here in the studio. Harrison pushing all the buttons and making sure we sound okay at PBA, while also filling time in between games, because naturally we'll just need to take a breather. So before we'll talk more about that, I'm sure tomorrow as well. We'll give a little bit more of a preview. As always, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, and the Sartor Heyman text line are open to you guys the entire show today, as well as the Sartor Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. Plenty of things to get to today. Huskers get win number 20. Now they are receiving votes in the AP poll.
7 points, baby.
That's right.
That's a touchdown.
Nebraska Baseball took 3 of 4 from Grand Canyon over the weekend. And that might be more impressive than people realize. So I want to talk to Austin about that here in a few minutes. But let's first, I want to discuss a narrative that's kind of been boggling my mind. And this might have to be broken up into 2 segments. But Austin, we'll tell the people now, we got until 4 o'clock.
We're here. We're chilling.
So we got nothing to do for the next 2.5 hours except have some conversation. And actually, maybe we should start here, just because we do only have about 3 minutes so we can get back on time. On Sunday morning, it would have been Sunday morning officially at about 1:14 a.m., my good old friend Jeff Passan decides to tweet out that the Chicago Cubs and Cody Bellinger are in agreement for a 3-year, $80 million deal. Ooh. And the reason why this is relevant to you and I, Austin, is because we just got done last week talking extensively about Scott Boras, his clients, their agent is Scott Boras, and this standoff between Boras and his clients and MLB organizations. Mm-hmm. It's not that he doesn't have guys that teams could see value in. It's that either the offers that he's requesting or asking for are insanely and astronomically high, or it's the organizations just don't need him, right? Mm-hmm. And
most organizations probably need him.
And the Cubs finally, in their first move in the offseason, other than hiring Craig Counsell away from the Milwaukee Brewers as their manager, they re-signed the guy that's kind of rejuvenated his career in Chicago. Cody Bellinger last year was on a 1-year, I think $17 million deal with the Cubs. Here he is, 3 years, $80 million, with an opt-out after year 1 and year 2.
Mm-hmm. Making what, 30, and then 20, I think is how that breaks down. Yeah. I like the structure of that for the Cubs. I like the structure of that for Cody Bellinger. Getting the opt-outs is always huge as a player, right? Teams don't like to give those out, because what an opt-out does is it gives the team all the risk, right? Because if Cody Bellinger is good, okay, he opts in, or he might opt out, right? See if he can get more on the market. If he's bad, he opts in and you're on the hook for, way more than you should be for a player of his caliber. Cody Bellinger, throughout his career, it's just a fascinating arc, right? Because he breaks into the majors in 2017, plays 132 games, above average league hitter for the league. 2018, still pretty solid. MVP in 2019, COVID year, he's solid in the 56 games. And then he just kind of fell apart in 2021. I think he was hurt, only played 95 games, played 144 in 2022, and was just not good. 19% below league average with his OPS plus. Wasn't getting on base the same amount, was striking out quite a bit more, wasn't walking. It just made you wonder what is going on with Cody Bellinger.
Yeah.
Big credit to him and the Cubs for finding a common ground, for coming together. The $17 million he got last year really felt like an overpay at the time, but I think it was totally fair. I mean, for a guy that was, substantially above league average with the bat last year, has the versatility to play first base and center field, which is incredibly unique, for any era of baseball. I thought a lot more teams would have been in on him.
Yeah.
Maybe they just tried to get him again back at that 17-18 for more years. The Cubs' familiarity, I think, helped them re-sign him.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some level of comfort. Like, hey, you guys took the chance on me when I was at my nadir. I want to reward you guys. I want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
From the Royals' perspective, I know I brought them up like, well, why didn't they go after him? 3 for $80 is well within their range, especially given some of the other contracts they handed out. Well, I'm okay with them not doing it the more I read about it, because again, out of the last 3 years, he's had 1 good year. Now he's had, 5 good years to 2 bad years in his MLB career.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been a needle mover, but if you had to give him the opt-out, that's a no-win for the Royals, who aren't going to spend that money again and can't afford to have it sunk if he's bad and opts in. Whereas a team like Chicago, I know they haven't spent a lot of money in the offseason, but they can better get away with it, right? They can better absorb it than the Royals can. So it just felt like a little bit too high a risk for a team that isn't 100% in contention. If the Royals were an 80-win team, go get him. Push yourself to 84, 85. But if you're pushing yourself from 70 to 74, not worth it.
I also think, so the Cubs don't have Candelario anymore, who they got at the deadline last year, who is kind of that utility infielder type as well. So the Cubs, they've discussed it, right? Their infield it's a very good chance that it's going to be Christopher Morel at third base now, and you have obviously Dansby, who you signed to a 4-year deal, or 7-year deal at the start of last year. So you still have 6 years left of Dansby Swanson. You have Nico Horner, who's one of the best young middle infielders in the game right now. So you have some pieces around you, and then not to mention in the outfielder, right? You had, you have the bright young star of Pete Crow Armstrong that you got in the Javier Baez deal a couple of years ago from the Mets, who's had a really, really nice couple of years in the minors. Now it's time to see how his game transitions into the major league level. And then on the left field, in left field, you have Ian Happ, who is towards the end of his deal. He's been kind of rumored at the deadline year after year. I want to say they re-signed him to a 3-year deal last season. And so if I remember correctly, it may have just been a year extension.
Signed through 2026, 3 years, 61.
So 3 years with Ian Happ. Now you bring in in right field, Cody Bellinger, right? So now this is all kind of taking shape to where I think it's also appealing for Cody Bellinger, because think about some of those names that I just mentioned. Christopher Morel, you're familiar with him, obviously, from last year. There's familiarity with Dansby, who's not going anywhere. Nico Horner's not going anywhere. There's not going to be the trade conversations about Ian Happ. There's certainly not going to be trade conversations about Pete Crow Armstrong. There's a lot of stability, I think, for the Cubs, and they're in a place and in a division where they don't now expect to be sellers at the deadline. There was this floating feeling last year where it was, okay, are they a seller? Are they a buyer? Are they just going to kind of stay neutral?
They made their push right after the trade deadline.
And we saw they kind of turned into buyers for the most part. If you had to pick one side or the other, this year it feels like, okay, you were there last year. You're in a pretty poor division that the NL Central is. I personally think they're toughest competitor in the NL Central this year. When you're used to it being the Cardinals or the Brewers, I think it's actually going to be the Reds. I think the Reds are kind of a sneaky team to watch. You have a really good young crew based around Ellie De La Cruz, who's incredible, that a lot of major league guys and fans will know of it really quickly into this season. But I think when you look at the Cubs, I think the Reds are somewhat of a big player in the NL Central. Now, how do the Cubs now stay as the favorite?
Go get a pitcher.
And you do that most of the time, especially at the deadline. So, all right, 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln Hotline, the Starter Heyman text line open for you guys the rest of the way. The Huskers get win number 20 on their schedule with a nice, comfortable win over the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They win 73-55 on Sunday evening. Austin and I break that down next, coming up on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Planet Fitness, Leap Day means an extra day of energy. And who doesn't love energy? To celebrate, now through February 29th, you can join for 29 cents down, $10 a month, and pay nothing until March 17th. Even better, you'll get free fitness training and equipment for every workout, with most clubs open 24 hours. So take advantage of your extra day and get energized at Planet Fitness. Join for 29 cents down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and pay nothing until March 17th. Deal ends February 29th. See Home Club for details.
Hog Wild's giant stuffed baked potatoes are anything but basic and really hit the spot when you're craving a little comfort food. Nothing is more satisfying than a Hog Wild baked potato loaded with butter, sour cream, cheddar cheese, bacon bits, and chives. Add your choice of a Hog Wild house-smoked meat like pulled pork, chicken, or brisket for a little extra. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Ready to upgrade your combine in 2024? The team at Landmark Implement is here to help find the right combine to fit your operations needs. Choose from 4.5% for up to 60 months or a 12-month interest waiver, followed by John Deere financial rates with approved credit through the end of February. When you purchased a pre-owned S or X Series combine from Landmark, know you are backed by Landmark's extensive parts and service network with mobile techs and parts drop-off points to keep you up and running. View our current inventory online at landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark to experience the Landmark difference.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Are you in the market for a new garage door or need to repair your old one? It's wintertime, and that means snow, wind, and freezing temperatures, all things that can cause sticky locks and damage to your garage door. If you're experiencing any issues with your commercial or residential garage door during the winter months, call Cameron Hall and his team at Doors Plus. Don't be trapped outside in the cold because of a poorly maintained garage door. Call Doors Plus today at 402-590-5800 or visit them online at doorsplusllc.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
If your home heating system is making strange noises or just doesn't work like it should, call your friends at Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Sign up for Bryant's exclusive ESP service protection plan. You'll get twice annual complete and thorough service on all brands, and you'll never pay overtime charges on evenings, weekends, or holidays. Schedule your heating check today and ask about Bryant's ESP plan to save money. Call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Be a memory for your grandchildren. Among Nebraska adults age 65 or older, 47% report current alcohol use. Drinking too much can cause harm to children, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, you will still be around for your grandchildren. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary.
This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
(73-55). Nebraska basketball gets the big win over the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman back with you. In this game, how about Juwan Gary with a career high 22 points? Career high also in 3-pointers made with 4. He goes 4 for 7 and also 4 for 4 from the charity stripe. Now, I want to have we've had a lot of big picture conversations over the last week, but I want to have another one here.
Keep them going. Keep them rolling.
Because
we love
Austin, you and I actually were texting back and forth last night about this. There was a lot of thoughts on Twitter about Nebraska men's basketball potentially being ranked this morning or this afternoon when the new AP poll was released. By the way, it was released. Nebraska 7 receiving votes in the AP poll, so not officially in the top 25. But I think it's safe to say fringe top 25 team this year, and they've played like that. You've seen, I'm sure, the notes coming around. I'm not sure which media member had it first, but Nebraska has won 4 conference games in a row by 15 plus points for the first time since the 1911-1912 season.
I'm gonna give that one to Seamus, then people retweet it.
There you go. So there you go, Seamus. I honestly did not know. So there was a lot of people tweeting it out last night, which is it's a good thing, right? It's a good statistic to kind of hang your hat on. Nebraska was 4 straight wins in the conference by more than 15 points. But I texted Austin something along the lines of last night. How wild is this narrative of that we were discussing, all right, is Nebraska a top 25 team? But then in the same breath, we're sitting here saying, man, I'm just still not sure Nebraska's going to even make the tournament. Think about that. That's the narrative and the concern and what's in people's minds. Maybe after these last 2 games, you're sitting more on the side of, okay, I feel like Nebraska is relatively safe. And Nebraska has a pretty good shot to make the NCAA tournament, which that's kind of where I'm at. But I also sit here and I'm like, I also hear people saying, man, I just hope Nebraska makes it. I think if they lose, if Nebraska loses on Thursday to Ohio State, they might not make it. I think Nebraska's in this point now, Austin, to where they've done enough. And we always talk about that 20-win benchmark, and I don't necessarily buy into that specifically.
Same.
But we've talked so much about it. Nebraska, like we just said, won 4 straight by 15 plus points. And they have a road win over an Indiana team. Like, I feel like we're at this point where Nebraska, even if they were to lose 1, maybe even 2, oh no, I think they're still okay. Just this narrative and still believing that, yeah, you know what? Nebraska might miss the tournament, but in the same sentence, yeah, they should be ranked tomorrow when the polls come out. You're a top 25 team. Nebraska at this point is a fringe top 25 team. I know the sites, the bracketologists might still have them as a 10 seed. That also might be more favorable for Nebraska. Austin, run away with it.
Agree. LOL, agree.
Yeah.
It all makes sense to me because I think what's happening is that there are 2 different conversations being had, but you're trying to use the same language for both conversations, right? Nebraska's resume is NCAA tournament worthy.
Yeah.
The NCAA tournament is not as much what have you done for me lately as the AP poll is. I would much rather, and I think I speak for everyone that watches Nebraska basketball and roots for them to succeed. You would much rather be in the NCAA tournament than in the top 25 in late February, right? So let's just get that out of the way right now. The sentiment on Twitter was, well, look at Nebraska's resume. Look at their wins. They've won 4 in a row. Okay, yeah, well, here's the thing. The AP Top 25 doesn't look at your resume. Whether it should or not, that's fine. But the AP poll is pretty sticky after a certain point.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a big jump this late in the season. They're not going to randomly reconsider everything you've done. So it comes down to, where were you in our minds last week? How much have you moved up or down this week? Nebraska's 4 wins in a row. Yes, they're the hottest team in the Big Ten. Nationally, the perception is they ain't played nobody.
Yeah.
That's the perception. Indiana's probably the best win in this stretch. And that's a pretty mid-Indiana team right now, even though it was on the road, which I'll get to that in a sec here. Nebraska was never going to be ranked this week. If Nebraska was ranked this week, I was going to throw a fit on air. They don't deserve it. They're a top 40 team, probably top 35. That's not top 25. They haven't played anyone of import recently. If Nebraska would have beat Purdue yesterday to cap a 4-game win streak, if Nebraska would have beat number 6 Wisconsin to cap a 4-game win streak, heck, if Nebraska would have, beat Illinois, they might be ranked right now because that's more recent. But Nebraska's big wins came earlier in conference play. Now, yes, you're winning. And I don't want to detract from the schedule because Nebraska, the non-con set it up to have success. And you play the games that are in front of you, right? Nebraska is taking care of business these last 4 games, but it doesn't move the needle to the same degree as like Wake Forest, who is a fringe bubble team, probably half step behind Nebraska, who beat Duke, right? That moves the needle and jumps them in because they're in the news. They're talking about it's big, it's flashy. Beating Minnesota, it's a revenge game. It means something here. You're 17-1 at home now, but it doesn't move the needle nationally. So Nebraska, despite winning 4 in a row, hasn't done anything to really change the conversation about them nationally in these last 4 games, so they weren't going to be ranked. What Nebraska, I think, has done, though, is improve its conversation for the bubble picture, right? 20 is such an arbitrary number. You say the same thing about 21, 22, any number, whatever. But hitting 20 means something, even in a mediocre Big Ten. Being in the conversation for a double bye in whatever conference tournament you happen to find yourself playing in, that's a big deal. It absolutely means something. Nebraska picked up its 2nd road win, of the year in this stretch. Nebraska's 2-7 on the road. Wisconsin's 3-7 on the road. But again, Wisconsin just fell out of the rankings because they're sticky, because they hung around even through their losing streak. Whereas for Nebraska, as soon as there's been a little momentum, there's been a little hiccup. So Nebraska hasn't rattled off since the beginning of the year this big, 7, 8, 9 game winning streak. So as soon as they get close to the fringe of the conversation, they'll play someone good on the road, lose. Sorry, same old Nebraska. So I don't think Nebraska is ever going to be ranked. But at the same time, you picked up the road win. You got to 20 wins. You definitely haven't hurt yourself over the last 2 weeks when it comes to the NCAA tournament conversation.
Let's also have this. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. You mentioned that the big wins, obviously the Purdue and Wisconsin ones are the one you look at the most. Those ones came earlier in the season, and I think they needed to. I truly do, because if Nebraska doesn't win those 2 games, I was thinking about this last night as well, what's the conversation if Nebraska doesn't have those 2 wins? You're sitting there at 18-10. You're a very, you think you're on the bubble now. You are a very fringe team. There's a lot more pressure, I think, on those if you had to finish out with those 2 games.
Oh, yeah.
And Nebraska, as we know, is still someone that maybe doesn't play the best under pressure. You don't know how they're going to handle it, even if they are at home. But I would say this. If you look historically at the last 3 years, more specifically, this year included, so 2020, what is that, 2023, and 2024 now, Nebraska's finished out the season under Fred Hoiberg pretty well. Maybe not so much in 2022. They finished out with 2 regular season wins. They had those over, what was it?
Well, no, 22 was Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin.
Penn State was 22 was Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin. You rattled off 3 in a row to end the season. That was the year that you won 10 games.
Yeah, McGowan's went out. And you won those 3 games without from the outside people would say was your best player.
And then in 2023, just last year, Nebraska wins. So this is how their month of February went. Win, loss, a win against Wisconsin, a win against Rutgers, a win against Maryland, a win against Minnesota.
Should have beat Michigan State.
You should have beaten Michigan State, but then you bounced back with a road win at Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
you finished the regular season 16-15. You're above 500, then you lose in the first round of the conference tournament.
But more importantly, in February, you went 6-2.
Yeah.
In February.
Mm-hmm.
Now here you have it this year. And what is Nebraska in February? You had a win or a game that you, let's be honest, should have won against Illinois. And you took them to overtime, so the loss doesn't necessarily hurt you.
Well, Nebraska jumped 8 spots in the net after that loss.
They did. You come back with a 12-point disappointing loss to Northwestern, yes, but since February 10th, the Huskers are 4-0. You're 4-0. And with 3 games to play against 3 very manageable opponents in Ohio State, Rutgers, and Michigan, if Nebraska does what they've done the last two seasons and change under Fred Hoiberg to finish the season, you feel good about Nebraska's chances, maybe not to win out, but to at least go 2-1 in this stretch. And I think you have to.
There's no reason that Nebraska shouldn't win out. I think Michigan is the trickiest game left for my money. We'll get into that later in the week as we get there. Ohio State, the closer we get to that game, I'm feeling better about it. Rutgers is kind of in the middle.
Explain, because despite Ohio State being able to knock off Michigan State, people will kind of push back and say, well, hold on, they're playing better because they have an interim head coach, Chris Holtman's out the door.
Maybe it's just my contrarian streak, but I just feel like Ohio State's kind of done with the interim coach bounce. They should not have won that game yesterday.
No.
I don't put that on Ohio State. I put that on Michigan State losing that game more than I do Ohio State winning. If the Penn State won, everyone rallied together, played for pride. I think program alum Jake Diebler in charge. So, they were going to, be competitive against Purdue. And honestly, again, I think that exposes more about Purdue. Do they have that killer instinct? So there's that. Ohio State has always been more talented than I think its conference record has shown, but it hasn't coalesced. So with a few games left in the regular season, what are they playing for? Avoid playing on Wednesday? I'm just not sold on the Buckeyes. I think they're an okay matchup. Battle doesn't scare me a whole lot right now. We know it can go off, but I'm starting to feel better about that game. Rutgers, it's at PBA, revenge on the mind.
Yeah.
I doubt you win that one by 18 like you did Minnesota, but that should be, at least a couple possession win. And Michigan's just so different with Doug McDaniel. I think he just, it's an element Nebraska hasn't seen a lot of this year. He pushes other guys into spots where they're more successful. But if I can get to Earthquake Glue here real quick on the text line, it says, I'm more upset we're still considered a 10 seed and most talking heads feel that's as high as Nebraska can get. The resume is better than a 10 if we keep winning. Here's the thing. The only wins that move the needle for Nebraska positively are wins over like top 5 teams in the conference.
Are past us.
Pretty much. Well, Big Ten tournament.
Yes.
If you get there, right? If Nebraska's the 4 or 5 seed and you beat someone seated ahead of you, that'll move the needle a little bit. But we talked about this on Friday, what the committee said about it. If all your big wins come at home, that's a red flag. Even if in my heart of hearts, I believe that Nebraska is a mid-9 to an upper 10 seed right now, the committee, the people that actually vote on this, view Nebraska as a mid-10 to a high 11. Right? Nebraska's not completely out of the play-in Dayton game necessarily. I think they should be. So, maybe Nebraska's resume is, 9. Maybe, pure numbers say it's an 8. Just get ready for 10 seed Nebraska. Like, that's the most likely outcome, barring an absolute bed pooping.
Yeah, or incredible end to the year where you see yourself playing on Saturday or Sunday of the Big Ten tournament. Which then you can talk about and have conversations about, would you rather be a 10 seed and be in Omaha or be in that 8-9 game? And how much does one seed better do for you? Right. That's what I would say.
To me, it's even less about seed and it's more matchup, right?
I would 100% agree. Like
every year in March.
I mean, I don't have a hypothetical bracket pulled up right now. But like one thing I saw, I believe last week, so this is prior to Nebraska, Minnesota, was it was Nebraska as a 10 seed playing 7 seed Florida.
The 2 and the 15 is Kansas, Eastern Washington.
That's it.
I want that smoke.
That would be the type of matchup that I think you would rather have or lean into rather than going to Spokane and playing Colorado State as a 9-8 game.
CBS has Nebraska in a 7-10 against BYU matched up with Arizona. Yeah.
So I think I would agree with you, Austin, where it's a lot about matchups, I think, once you get down here to the NCAA tournament. And I'll be honest, like, yes, from like in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here going, does Nebraska probably have the argument to be an 8 or a 9? Yeah, probably. But also in the holistic view of the last 10 years, Nebraska has one appearance.
They were 11, and they got smoked.
And we talked about it last week about that nationally, they just don't have the respect. And so I think that's part of it too, is that Nebraska is going to be undervalued in the NCAA tournament. And as Austin said, I think that just takes a couple of years to get out from under that microscope of that. So I think Nebraska, though, once again, they can get a favorable matchup as the 10 seed and be okay, despite it being a 7-10 matchup instead of an 8-9. Also, it's March, right? Like, we don't have to tell you that anything can happen, and especially when I think there's 6 AP teams that have the same 21-6 record. So, I mean, March is going to be bonkers as we know it. So I would just kind of buckle down for that. I think I'd rather be a 10 seed and have Nebraska play in Omaha than even an 8 and play in Spokane or wherever other spot that they're trying to send Nebraska. And that's despite Nebraska fans. They're going to travel well no matter where, no matter where Nebraska basketball is. One thing I did want to mention before we just wrap it up here is a couple interesting games coming up over the next couple of days, and maybe not ones that specifically involve Nebraska, but in a way, Nebraska currently sits in the standings in the Big Ten Conference, because we do talk about the double bye, one game behind Northwestern and Wisconsin, who are tied for third right now.
Should be a half game back of those teams. They've only played 16.
Game. Yes, thank you. Half game back from those teams. Northwestern, talk about remaining schedules here. Northwestern on Wednesday will face off against Maryland on the road in College Park. Then they have Iowa. Then they travel to East Lansing, and they host Minnesota to end the year. And then for Wisconsin, who is in a little bit more of a dangerous territory, I think, with some of their 4 remaining games, where this a huge opportunity for Nebraska if they take care of business. They have Wisconsin, I'm saying, on the road at Indiana tomorrow night, Illinois at home, Rutgers at home, and they round it out with Purdue on the road.
Woo!
So you want to talk about a tough Final Four for Wisconsin. Now you have to go on the road to Bloomington, right? Illinois, who's the top 2 team in the conference, comes to your house. Rutgers comes to Madison, but then you got to end the season on the road at Purdue. I'm not trying to play a hypothetical situation here, but if Nebraska wins out, you feel pretty good that Wisconsin's going to lose 1 or 2 of those.
2-2 makes the most sense for me for Wisconsin. Northwestern, I can see anywhere from 1-3 to 3-1.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to tiebreakers between Nebraska and Northwestern if Nebraska takes care of business. And again, you can have the same conversation across 2 different, tournaments, but they look a little different, right? Because if Nebraska, wins out at 3-0,
yeah,
you feel really good about where they're at in the Big Ten. If they go 2-1, okay, you might lose, a spot there. Yeah. But when it comes to needing help, you always take help. You can't bank on help from other bubble teams losing. You can't bank on Wisconsin or Northwestern dropping a game or 2. Just take care of your own business, right? And then whatever happens around you, adapt to it as it happens.
Michigan State, who's 1 spot behind the Huskers right now, by the way, they have to finish out with on the road at Purdue, Northwestern at home, and at Indiana. So a tough 3-game spot. Don't forget what we said and we agreed on about a week and a half ago, where Nebraska was at that time 6th in the Big Ten standings. Do everything you can to stay between 5 or 6 in the standings. You might not get the double bye. That's fine. But don't do anything to get you 7 through 9, right? And certainly not the 10 through 14. And Nebraska's avoided, I think, that 10 to 14 range. But even as a 5 seed, you're in much better shape matchup wise than you would be at a 9 or at an 8 or at a 7. And so understanding the scope and understanding realistic expectations, our thoughts and comments at that time were do not allow yourself to drop lower than where you are currently.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time it was 6th. Nebraska's now moved up one spot at 5, and they are firmly in the territory of maybe stepping over either Northwestern or Wisconsin for number 4. Heck, could be number 3. They have a tiebreaker over, or they have they split both of those games. Have the tiebreaker over Michigan State is what I was thinking about. But who knows what can happen with Wisconsin and Northwestern in these Final 4.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're in this world of Nebraska being the 3 seed, which would be their highest finish in the Big Ten Conference ever for men's basketball, because in 2014 they were 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at that time there was no double bye. I would like to add that in there as well. So Nebraska's in some really, really uncharted waters that they've never been in before. And it's going to be fascinating to see how they handle it, because here's one more thing I will add, Austin, before we get to break, is that Nebraska is in this spot to where, and this is why it goes back to like the 10 seed conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska's been in this spot their entire time of being in the Big Ten as the hunter.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what Nebraska is like as the hunted.
We do not.
And I'm not sure I want to see for the first time if Nebraska was an 8 seed or if Nebraska was a 7 seed. I'm not sure I would want to see how Nebraska, or I'd say, yeah, you know what? I feel better about that. I don't know if that's this team either.
Let's see it next year.
Exactly. Because Nebraska, Fred Hoiberg they've done an incredible job. And Fred's probably locked up Big Ten Coach of the Year.
I would hope.
And so, but time and time again, Nebraska weren't supposed to win on the road in terms of the predicted net, weren't supposed to win on the road at Indiana last week. They weren't supposed to contest against Illinois a couple weeks ago. They weren't supposed to be 20-8.
No.
But here they are, and they've done it by being the hunter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more difficult to be the hunted every single game you play. And Nebraska's on this line, this fringe line of stepping over to being the hunted, right? And they're going to have to face that in the Big Ten tournament, whoever they play in game 1. So we'll get a little taste of that. But on a stage like the NCAA tournament, or over the course of an entire season, Nebraska's been right where they needed to be. So yeah, I understand I would really like Nebraska to be a 7 seed. I'd really like them to be an 8 seed, maybe because it looks better on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Nebraska would be just fine and in the best position as a 10 or as even an 11, which I don't think they'll be. So that's where I'm at on all that. All right, let's take a break. We wrap up the happy hour next with a conversation about Husker baseball as they take 3 of 4 from GCU over the weekend in Phoenix. And then we'll start on the block. But Austin and I will just continue that, and we'll be here until 4 p.m. with you on a Monday. Let's take a break. Happy hour coming up next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We wait all pro football season for the big game. But will you come out on top? Warhorse Festival of Games is putting you at the center of the action with 2 chances to win big. Earn entries for our $100,000 prop card challenge daily at Warhorse Casino Lincoln. Enjoy slots, sports wagering, and horse racing. Then make your picks about the big game to be eligible to win. Qualifying entries will also be put in the running for your share of the $20,000 grand prize drawing. Increase your luck for the drawing by playing free online games on the Festival of Games website. Skip the trip to Vegas and get in on the big game right here at Lincoln's favorite place to play. And if that's not enough, our $1 Million Bracket Challenge for college basketball is coming soon. Full details are online at warhorsecasino.com. Warhorse Casino Lincoln, just minutes from downtown at Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Why not today? Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
If your home heating system is making strange noises or just doesn't work like it should, call your friends at Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Sign up for Bryant's exclusive ESP service protection plan. You'll get twice annual complete and thorough service on all brands, and you'll never pay overtime charges on evenings, weekends, or holidays. Schedule your heating check today and ask about Bryant's ESP plan to save money. Call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting sunny skies, it'll be breezy and incredibly warm as well. We'll see a high around 80. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 42. And tomorrow, increasing clouds throughout the day, falling temperatures too. See a high around 50. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career? Or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, So that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
Old School with DP and J.
Do you think it's too early to talk about Patrick Mahomes as the greatest of all time? You know, to be honest with you, I think he might be on ahead of the pace. It was definitely on pace, maybe ahead of the pace. I think right now everything that he does is going to get overblown, and I think people so quickly forgot the 20-year run of the Patriots. Not 5-6 years, 20-year run of Tom Brady and the Patriots.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Huge thanks to Empire Fence and Netting for their support, as always, of the program. Nick Sainert, Austin Norman back with you one final time before we hand it off to On the Block and hand it off to Austin and myself today. By the way, state basketball coming your way on Wednesday. First game is at 9 o'clock. We'll start with a little Class D2 action. Class D2, the first two games, starting with Paxton against Overton. But then starting at 1:15, 1:45, maybe one. Actually,
so probably 9, 11, 15, 1:30, maybe.
No, it's here. Hold on. I have the. How bad is this, huh? So in the 1 o'clock hour, I should say, we will start with Class A. So it's 1:30. I was in there 1:15, 1:45. Now 1:30. So at 1:30 on Wednesday, we'll have the 4 Class A games starting. So it's like 1:30, 3:15. 6 o'clock and 7:45, all those back to back. All right, Husker baseball. Nebraska gets 3 big ones on the road at Grand Canyon in Phoenix. They take 3 of 4 from the Lopes down there. The Lopes, Grand Canyon, a team that won 37 games last year in 2023. They were actually 4-0 already in the early stages of the season with wins over BYU, Ohio State, USC, and Georgetown going into the weekend against the Huskers. And give credit to Nebraska. They went on the road. They take 3 of 4. They win the series. And that's one that you're going to be able to kind of hang your hat on going forward, especially after maybe a little bit of a disappointing weekend where you got walked off to the Oklahoma Sooners. That's one that you probably would like to have back, I think, if you're head coach Will Bolt. But then now going forward, Nebraska is going to be facing a College of Charleston program that's 7-0. They've swept Marshall and they've swept Youngstown State, so maybe not the names that carry the national notoriety, but 7-0, 7 wins out of their first 7 games for the College of Charleston down there in Charleston, South Carolina. Austin, I thought especially yesterday, in a game where Nebraska jumps out to an 8-1 lead, they got a pretty decent start from Caleb Clark to begin with. Then he gives up, 4 earned. Then you have Tucker Timmerman come in, the freshman from Beatrice, and he gives up the grand slam before even being able to record an out. That's a tough spot for a pitcher to come into, I think, to begin with. And then guess what? The back end of the bullpen kind of just shut the door. Nebraska was able to manufacture. Most importantly, I specifically use the word manufacture because they're not doing it with the long ball nearly as often as they did last year. And I think that's going to be kind of a testament of what Nebraska is going to hang their hat on this year, is that they were able to manufacture 2 runs, took the lead 10-8, and the back half of the bullpen slammed the door shut. And that's what's going to need to happen consistently this year.
That's absolutely the formula. The first couple nights of the series, Nick, I was really impressed with how Nebraska went middle up. For a team that's not going to hit home runs, Karen and Carey and Stone did a great job of working back up the middle and then going the other way.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that continued pretty much all weekend. I'm starting to get a little concerned about the bullpen. I know Walsh wasn't great. I know Clark wasn't great.
Yeah.
But man, 8-1.
Yeah.
And then you let him crawl all the way back in it.
Well,
get to 8-8. I mean,
it was 8-4, and then Timmerman gave up 4 earned.
Yeah.
On the one swing of a bat. and then you kind of held it there. I thought it was strategic, though. I thought we saw the game within the game and the strategy from Rob Childress, because there's a lot of new faces on this team, and I think it's important to note that just because there's new faces doesn't mean it's guys that are new to college baseball.
Right.
Which I think that's an important thing to know, because a lot of us will make that just instant thought of, or belief of, oh, they're new to Nebraska. This is a freshman. This is a sophomore, came from whatever, JUCO, whatever the case may be.
They're untested.
Yes. Yeah. They haven't been in heat of the moment situations. Yesterday was one. Yesterday was certainly a heat of the moment. How do you respond to adversity? If you allow a free 90, if you allow a base hit, how do you respond? And Nebraska, we saw the strategy. Nebraska brings in one guy and he'd pitch to it 2/3 of an inning. Then you bring in the lefty-lefty matchup. And we saw Rob Childress do that basically in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And then you're able to slam the door with your veteran and Kyle Perry, who's been here for as long as anybody on the roster, had a disappointing outing on Sunday against Oklahoma. He was able to respond, right? I believe KP pitched on Saturday as well, had a nice outing in relief. But then he's able to bounce back on Sunday and slam the door shut with 2/3 of an inning, saving there. So you saw the strategy by Rob Childress, playing the matchup game. And that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to be having guys that are okay with coming in and maybe throwing a total of 7 pitches, but getting one crucial out to start the inning, and then being able to find a guy to come in, and if you're facing 2 lefties or 2 righties, and have that matchup to where you're able to get those 2 outs.
I'm going to look at the run differential too, because Nebraska ends up -1 after opening weekend, beat Baylor by 3, lose to Texas Tech by 3, and then get walked off by Oklahoma. But Nebraska went +15 this last weekend, and that's huge. And I know the bulk of that comes from, the one 10-run win, but you win the first one 7-2 against their ace.
Yeah.
You got after him. That means something. Their Friday guy.
That was also on a day where sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Drew Christo's outing. We talked about that a little bit on Friday. That was something that is promising going forward, that maybe Drew can, if Caleb Clark or Will Walsh don't end up consistently providing results for the Huskers, maybe that's where Drew Christo can kind of slide in there and say, hey, I can be that Sunday guy that I'll get you 4, maybe 5. It's going to be a bullpen game most Sundays anyway. After about the 5th inning. But on that Sunday, if Drew can get you 4 scoreless consistently, then there's no excuse for your offense not to be able to get out to at least a 2-run lead.
Absolutely. And so Nebraska, makes the most of that Drew Christo start.
Yeah.
Brett Sears did his thing in game 2. Nebraska left 9 runners on base in the loss on Saturday. So they had their chances. They didn't capitalize. But then to put up 8 to set the tone early, right, they gave themselves that cushion, which they needed every run of cushion, but they had it. And then they responded late, right? It would have been easy for the offense to stay in that shell, but the best teams answer, right? It took Nebraska a while, right? They match in the first with 1 run. Nebraska takes that 8-1 lead then. And then it did take a couple innings, right? But Nebraska had chances in the 6th and the 7th. They didn't come through, but they kept plugging away. They finally end up getting those 2 runs across that ends up being the difference. So, no, it wasn't perfect baseball, but you take 3 out of 4 from, like you said, a team that made the NCAA tournament, not just last year, but the year before that. WAC regular season champions in 3 of the previous, 6 years, too. This is a really solid program that I think this is the type of series Nebraska thought it was getting with San Diego last year that didn't pan out.
Yeah, I would agree with that there. They're also Grand Canyon picked to win the WAC again this season as well. So Nebraska sits here 4-3 overall, like I said, getting ready to start a 4-game set against Charleston, College of Charleston. On Thursday. First pitch is scheduled for 1 p.m. So we'll actually keep you updated on that one right here on, well, probably not because we'll be at Pinnacle Bank Arena, but the guys back in the studio will be able to keep you updated with all the happenings there down in Charleston, South Carolina. 1 p.m. is first pitch there. By the way, once again, Charleston, College of Charleston 7-0 this year after sweeping Marshall and Youngstown State. Okay, got about a minute left in the show here. Austin, what is coming up on the block with us two?
We're going to have some fun today. We'll go over Husker softball.
Yeah.
Big weekend for them. On the verge of a great weekend. It was just an okay weekend, I think. Husker Hoops weekend recap, men and women both beat Minnesota. I haven't had the court storming conversation yet, so that'll be 2:45. My weekend project was, who do I want Nebraska to see in the second round of the NCAA tournament? I got thoughts.
All right.
We'll do that at 3, and then a Husker football recruiting conversation with Brian Munson at 3:30.
There you go. All that and more coming up in just a few minutes as we continue with myself and Austin Orman. We're going to close the book on the happy hour for a Monday open on the block when we return. So don't go anywhere. 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Hello. Believe it or not, old phones are one of the most common pain points in offices today. Many of these phones are beyond repair because parts aren't available to fix outdated devices. Whether it's a traditional phone system or cloud-based VoIP technology, Hamilton Business Phones can help upgrade your connection. We make it easy to sync your office phone with your cell for seamless call handling, no matter where you work. If your current office phone can't do this, you deserve better. Hire your local experts. Hire Hamilton at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Stop by the brand new Midwest Bank this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for their grand opening. J&DP will be broadcasting on site for Old School, and there will be tons of prizes available for anyone who stops by, as well as complimentary food and drinks. That's this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. at Midwest Bank on 70th and Pioneers.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
People always ask, what are Jake and